Hello dear students, welcome to this class of MA Final Paper 5B, that is American Literature. I am Dr. S.S.Vaidwan from the Department of English. Dear students, in the last video we discussed Walt Whitman, his life, his education and his works. Today in this video we will take up one of the important poems that is prescribed in your course, and the title of the poem is Crossing Brooklyn Ferry. A very important poem by Whitman, and it is included in the Calamus section, and it was composed in 1865. So a very important poem from the Calamus section of Leaves of Grass. It is a long poem and it consists of 9 sections and about 132 lines in all. So a long poem, and the poem, it narrates Walt Whitman's life, his point of view, and how he looked at things while crossing Brooklyn Ferry. The poet Whitman, he addresses this poem while crossing Brooklyn Ferry, and the address is to the East River. The poem, it consists of images from the life, the movement of the people, and how beautiful yachts and the people, they used to cross and return back to their homes. So Whitman, he addresses a flood tide in Brooklyn Ferry, and the river is East River. So the rise of the tide is seen by him face to face. He also sees the clouds in the west. So the clouds which are there in the sky, and the poem takes place when the sun has already risen high. In this poem, he describes a simple, familiar experience of the people who cross on the ferry, and the experience, he himself finds that he is a part of these people. He is one of them. Now these people, they cross in the morning and then they return back home. He says that all these people, they attract me, and these people, they are so familiar to me now that I think I am part of themselves. Now the symbol of water is used, and the chief metaphor of this poem is flood tide. And this flood tide, it symbolizes the life, that is the sea of life into which we all are born. So this poem, it describes the struggle of man right from his birth to his ultimate destiny. Then the poet Whitman, he says that these clouds, they make a beautiful scene, and the sun that has already risen high, he particularizes the time. If you look at section 1, he says that the sun has risen high for half an hour. That is, the sun has risen high and it is a clear daytime, and the clouds are also seen face to face. That is, they are clearly visible. Whitman, the poet, he says that I am unable to understand myself and the things that are around me. So he says that this is a quest for my inner self. The people going and coming, that is birth, rebirth, birth, death, rebirth. This is a universal scheme that is designed by nature, and no one can escape this universal design. The poet, he says that time, it denotes the passage of human life, and the distance, it resembles the distance that one travels, that is the distance of life that one travels in the lifespan. So this distance of crossing this river, East River, Brooklyn Ferry, it denotes the passage of life. Whitman also talks about the coming generation, the generations who will replace them once they are out, once they meet their final destiny, that is death. Then the new generation will take over, and this journey of life, it will be there, it remains there, it is an unending journey, it is a universal scheme, we can say. So he expresses and addresses his concern to the coming generation who in the future will cross the ferry. So this introductory section, the first section of the poem, it introduces us to the scene, the time of the day, and how the people who are, he says that, curiously dressed, they seem to be curiously dressed, says Whitman. And he says that this crowd of men and women, as they are dressed in their usual costumes, they represent the different colors of life, the different shades of life. The poet, he says that all these people, they will work throughout the day, and then he thinks about the divine scheme, that is, we are talking about the universal scheme, the divine scheme according to which people work in life. That means that each one of us are destined to work for a particular kind. That is, our type of work which we are to take up in life, it is predestined. The poet, he imagines that the past generations, they would have also gone through the same process, and the coming generations, they will also go through these turbulences of life, and they will also complete their allotted work, and then they will also meet their final destiny. The poet, he sees that the current of the river is walking. That is, the flow of the river, it signifies the passage of life, because river, it, if it stops its flow, then it is dead. So the flow of river, it signifies life. The flow of life until man has met his final destination, he also keeps on flowing. That is, he also keeps on working, and his entire journey, it comes to a halt when he meets his death. So the flow of the river, it also signifies that life is unending. Life will come to an halt. It will end if we start thinking about ourselves. Whitman says that we should always follow the universal scheme and do the work that is allotted to us. And the flow of the river, it represents the flow of life, the journey of life in humans. And he says that this flow is felt very swift under the boat. So boat here is significant. The persons, he says that all the persons who cross the river, they may see the flood tide. The poet, he is a firm believer that the travelers who love, who know each other and who love each other, they love one another because they are familiar with one another, and they discuss their problems, they discuss their routine works, and this hustle and bustle of life, it moves on. So, dear students, here we have discussed the introductory section of the poem Crossing Brooklyn Ferry by Walt Whitman. I hope you have understood the opening two sections of the poem where he talks about the ferry and he talks about the time of the day and how people are curiously dressed and how they are familiar to each other and how this universal scheme of life, it works. We'll discuss the other sections in the coming videos. Thank you very much.